Hello and welcome to your award-winning The Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Daniel, and your other host this week to help discuss the Xbox Games Showcase 2024. First one is someone who I talk Xbox with nearly every single day. We definitely interact with Microsoft stuff every day. It's Macio. Welcome on, Mace.
Hey man, when it comes to Microsoft or games in general, I'm coming on the podcast, man. What's good with y'all, brokettes?
To one of the best showcases of all time, mind you. This was a good one. And the man who showed me Game Pass in person, in action, while we were in the middle of the trenches of work, sort of, he brought out the Game Pass on his phone. He was showing me how, I think it was Ninja Gaiden at the time. That was the first time I saw it. It's Bobby. Welcome on, Bobby.
Thanks for having me. Hello, everybody. Glad to be here and talking some more video games. Always a great time to be here with Macio and Daniel.
On this episode, we're going to discuss the Xbox Games Showcase 2024. If you're here to listen about the State of Play or Summer Games Fest, that will be on here, but at the very end of the show, as far as a comparison, if you follow the podcast on any social media, you'll see that there's a lot of Xbox news and updates constantly going up, memes especially. And this year's Xbox Games Showcase delivered many exciting announcements and reveals, showcasing upcoming titles from renowned studios and promising newcomers. Players have a lot to look over and forward to across all of these different genres and platforms. We're going to speculate on which system some of these games may or may not come to. There are beloved franchises and fresh debuts. So let's kick it off with this. First one is Age of Mythology Retold. So World's Edge presented the first ever gameplay trailer for Age of Mythology Retold, blending beloved elements of the classic title with modern RTS design. It is set to launch on September 4th of this year, and it marks the franchise's debut on both PC and console at launch. Some devs from Civ 5 worked on this game, and that's exactly the sense I got from this. I think all of us were on when this first debuted, and this time we got a lot more from this game, and they even did a special showcase on the Xbox podcast. So a lot more information on this game, which if you're into Civilization, Age of Mythology Retold is definitely for you.
Yeah, I'm glad that, Microsoft decided to keep pushing this IP. Like, you have these IPs that people remember from back in the day, and they kind of just been sitting on them, not doing anything with them. So I like that they're putting this out. They got veterans working on this game that's not just handing it off to some random development studio to make something and having it come out on console for once and on the debut, not later on down the line, we're going to put it on console, is a very welcome addition.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. It looks really neat. It does have a lot of fans of the franchise, so it's also good to see that. Personally, I don't like RTSs. I'll try them out a little bit, but I really don't get too much into it just because they're not my cup of tea. But I will never, disrespect an RTS that's good. It has its place, and it has its fan base. Honestly, if it wasn't for me not liking RTSs, I'd be all in on this just because of the theming. It's really, really cool. Looks like it's going to be a good game on console as well, so it's pretty cool, especially coming to Game Pass. Neat addition.
Day one Game Pass, absolutely. Last time we talked about this game, they had just said it was going to be on PC, but this is now them confirming, at least it's the first time I hear that they're saying that it's also going to be on the Xbox. So that was a big thing for me, because I remember last time we discussed this game, I was talking about how I would have loved to have seen this or played this on console, and it will maybe eventually make it, I think is what Mace was saying. But this is the confirmation that it is definitely coming on both on day one Game Pass. So for me, that's great news that they were able to make it accessible for your controller. Obviously, this kind of game would most likely play better on a mouse and keyboard, but I've played Civ on a controller before, and I have no issue with it. So this is one that I will absolutely be playing. I like Civilization a lot, and this with Zeus and some of the other gods in there. I mean, it throws a lot of fun in there.
Did you catch any of that like longer form dev talk that they mentioned, maybe even giving you the option of playing the console version with a mouse and keyboard?
No, but I assume that you'd be able to, some of the ports with the Xbox, just like on previous systems, you'd be able to connect something like that to it, right?
Yeah, I've seen it in games before. I mean, you can play mouse and keyboard. Fortnite, I don't see why they wouldn't let you do it on this.
There you go.
It's not truly a competitive game, so might as well give people the option if they want it.
Well, that works out for me especially, and I'm really excited for this Civilization. There was something for everyone in this showcase. This next one we've also seen before, and it's more polished than that first look. It's Avowed. From Obsidian Entertainment, they unveiled the story trailer for Avowed, which gave us a glimpse into the expedition through the Living Lands. Set to release this year, players will embark on a journey to stop the Dream Scourge and shape the fate of the frontier. My opinion hasn't really changed on Avowed. It's not this Elder Scrolls. Those kinds of games are not really my thing. They're not for me. But I know a lot of people, especially if you're into D&D and those kinds of things, that something like Avowed would be right up your alley.
This game has been through the grinder. It's not. They advertised it, and then we saw a trailer, and it was completely opposite of what they showed us. And then we see it here, and it's again changed. So there's a lot of mixed feelings over this game that was highly anticipated at one point. So I don't know what to think about this one. It's very interesting, to say the least.
And in my opinion, it looks good. I'm an Obsidian fan, so I love Fallout New Vegas. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And the other worlds, the Outer Worlds was a pretty good game. It needed more time to be polished, but hopefully they were given the amount of time they needed. It looks a little bit better. The combat looks a little more weighty than before, so that's a welcome addition. To me, it looks good. It looks like a very good supplemental game. I don't know that it looks like a triple A amazing title. Like, I don't think it's. I believe at one point in time people were thinking like this was gonna be like Elder Scrolls until Elder Scrolls comes out, and it's not that. And I don't think people should have given it that much prestige. I think it's just gonna be a good game, like just a regular old. Hey, this is a good game. Some people will call it like a cult classic or something like that. But to me, it just looks like a good game. They've been putting out good stuff since Microsoft's had them. So I'm looking forward to it.
So probably a good title to try out if you have Game Pass. But if you're on the other side and you have to pay for your games like one by one, would you say Avowed is like, will it end up being like a $40, $50 title as far as what it would be worth to pay?
I would definitely say it should be something closer to like a Hellblade, like a $50 instead of a full $70. And that's just based off from what I hear. It's not a super long game, and that's fine. Not every game needs to be long, but to me, how quickly they put it out, like this game, I think was only in development for, and I say only, but 4 years. And right now, AAA games are taking something like 5 to 6 years, some of them even 7. So the fact that they're able to turn out basically not a AAA game, but more like a AA game, something closer to like a Plague's Tale level game where it's not all the way, it has good production values, but it's not amazing production values. It's not like Last of Us or like Gears or something like Starfield. So the fact that they're putting this much effort into the game, this much love, and I know it's great with the creativity. So the combat has never really been their strong suit. It's more about the story and the journey with Obsidian. So I'm still looking forward to it. But again, I think people should just temper down their expectations and just bring it down to this is going to be a good game. And then if it is incredible, then you get wowed off the start. So that's cool.
Bobby, you had mentioned that this game has gone through changes as each time we've seen it. Do you think it will come out this year?
I think this one said 2024, just had no actual date.
Right.
I can't remember. If they're giving it a year, then it should be out this year. I think they've all learned their lessons from sticking to dates, but that pretty much tells us the game's done. They're just finishing some polish that gives them enough room through technically the end of the year or end of holiday.
I like to think they learned their lesson.
I'm thinking first quarter.
First quarter?
I think first quarter 2025, maybe like February, March-ish. I think it gets delayed into 2025.
I do like to think they learned their lesson too, but seeing just 2024 or just 2025, I get nervous still.
Yeah, us as gamers, but remember, they got to please the shareholders, and if they don't do some of that stuff, then they're not meeting standard. And, some of that has to do with, they announce things and put a date on it, and that helps for sales, which they rely on too. So some of that is important. As a gamer, we'll get pissed off with a delay, or unrealistic expectations when it comes to a date they give. But at the end of the day, they have to provide that information, not only for stockholders, but, for the bottom line so they can start pre-orders going.
This new update they came out with right away. It is the Starfield June update. And they caused the game to spike up in people going on it and hours played. I was watching on X that it definitely brought back a lot of gamers into Starfield. If they had stopped playing it or if they had beaten it, there's a lot of activity going on with Starfield. So this update definitely helped. It's got official mod support, which arrived with the launch of Creations. So this offers players endless possibilities. They can customize their experience. They can embark on new quests with the introduction of Trackers Alliance, so that unravels mysteries and brings you challenges. They've also got the bounty hunting missions, enhanced features, and mechanics to track down your more elusive targets in the game. You've got refined combat with improvements to melee weapons, smoother and more dynamic gameplay. And again, this is now available on Series X and S and PC. So this universe of Starfield continues to expand, which is great. You like to see support, especially behind the game that they were pushing very hard.
Yeah, personally, this is amazing. I've been wanting to go back to Starfield, but I've just been bogged down playing way too much Fortnite. I honestly need to stop because the season's not even the season is not even good. So I could literally give this shit a break for the next 2 months and play some other stuff. But the most important part out of this update is the mod support. And when it comes to the mod support, they're allowing you to have a mod load list, which is how many mods you can have installed at once on a game file. They're allowing you to do 100 gigabytes of mods, which I think Skyrim was something like 30 gigs at best. So they giving you triple the amount for Starfield. Now, the problem is there's not a lot of mods out, and it's going to take a while before some really good mods come. And on top of that, the best mods, the ones that change the game completely, will probably mostly all be on PC. So that's going to be unfortunate for the console players, but there's going to be so much just quality of life stuff that for whatever reason Bethesda doesn't put in the game, but mod creators will. So that's the huge addition. The one thing I wish they would change would be when you have mods that have small quality stuff, I wish they would let the mod creators come up with hey, this mod doesn't do too much to the game. So then you will still have the ability to get achievements and stuff like that, because I know a lot of people care about getting achievements in games and beating the game the real way and getting your achievement or your trophy. So I wish they would let modders be able to apply to be hey, this mod only changes graphics, or this only changes the UI, but it doesn't actually make it so that you click one button and you beat the game and you unlock all the achievements. So that's one change I wish they would add. I don't think they ever will. But if you don't give a fuck about achievements and you just want to play the game and have all the mods that change the game for the better, then this is the best thing about the update. You're just gonna have to wait like 1 or 2, probably like 3 months before some of those really, really good mods come out.
For me, this is cool that they're giving some updates to the game, but I don't see any of the fixes with all the complaints in the game. Personally, I haven't played it yet because I haven't seen anything good. I'm not saying it's bad, but I just haven't had time to dive into something like that. And the same problem is going to exist with the no space combat, no engagement when interacting with a planet. It's just a weird load screen that seems to be seamless, but it's not. Not everything's there that I thought this game was going to be, and it's too much for me to say that because I haven't really played it yet, and I know Mace has, and I'm not in it because it does look good, and I'm sure that game has a lot of promise. Now, if this game keeps working, or this company keeps working towards applying and enhancing the game, kind of like what Hello Studios did with the other space game that bombed,
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky, that is now like incredible, right? Then Starfield shows incredible promise because at the end of the day, it is a Bethesda game. And is it possible? I don't know. So
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with game engine
that
design, and you just can't redo some of the stuff that the decisions made.
Yeah,
so
they can't go as far as Hello Games did, just based on like they want to move on to the next thing. Like they want to be able to start working on Skyrim. They're doing the DLC right now for Starfield. That is going to add a lot more. Yeah, like doing a whole from space to landing on the planet, like that's never going to happen. If you want that type of gameplay, then I would suggest No Man's Sky. It's really good. That's not really what Starfield is about, but they do have, they got the space combat. They got all the different planets. With these mods, people will be able to turn some of those planets that don't really have much on them into something more interesting, at least.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying. I'll give them that. And I'm going to play it eventually. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I got a catalog of games that I'm slowly pushing through. So once I get to that point, I'll play it. I'm just going to be honest here. I haven't turned on my Xbox in probably about a year. It's just the state of Microsoft at the moment. Sorry,
that's the state of Bobby's play here.
I full disclosure, I love Xbox. I love Microsoft. I've always been an Xbox fan.
I'm just going to clip that part. I'm just going to clip that sentence there.
Yeah,
delete the rest.
I think we all know how awful the games catalog has been for Microsoft without me saying too much. So we all know that and acknowledge it. So it's just the state of things right now. And, Microsoft's hugging all these companies and then laying everybody off. It's just the state of the empire at the moment. And, there's other companies out there that are no better. Like
PlayStation, they're laying off people too.
PlayStation's not even the beginning of it. If you look at the Embracer Group, they're probably the worst ones. They're the biggest culprit. Yeah. They bought everything up, literally everything, and now they're just the president ran away, golden parachute, and then immediately all the studios start closing and being sold off and laid off. So all these poor people are just losing all their jobs, and it's all these different companies that we grew up on with games that were played from these studios. So getting off track, but yeah, Microsoft's not the only enemy out there. There's a lot going on in the games industry, and it's going to keep continuing. The slate of releases that are lackluster at the moment. The games are taking longer to make, and there's a lot of pressure. There's obviously a lot of money, and things can't be done. So we're just going to keep trimming around the edges.
Yeah, and in the meantime, a lot of these titles we're going to get in this year. One of which is Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
May God continue to bless the United States of America.
Treyarch and Raven Software introduced Black Ops 6 as a spy action thriller set in the early 1990s that will be released on October 25th. The features include Omni Movement, Classic Prestige, Theater Mode, Round-Based Zombies. They had a whole different presentation after the show. During the showcase, it was like another hour of just Black Ops 6. And with this being Day 1 Game Pass, that is absolutely huge. Massive. This may be one of the most played Call of Duties of all time, just by the fact that you're adding the Game 1 Game Pass players that wouldn't have otherwise tried Call of Duty, or they're jumping back into it. Players like myself that haven't played since Black Ops 2, I'm getting in on Black Ops 6 just because it is on Game Pass. you're going to have that addition, that injection of new players, and I think it's going to breathe all kinds of new life back into Call of Duty. Not that it needed the help, but it never hurts to have even more players on it.
So I'm going to argue that point. And Call of Duty is obviously a massive franchise, and Microsoft's going to show off their $69 billion purchase. But is it really going to be that massive when the highest audience was on Sony PlayStation consoles as the player base?
Well, they're still going to buy it.
Mixed with PC. Will they?
They're going to pay $70 for this game.
but will they?
Absolutely.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Or are they just going to boycott it?
No, they don't know how to boycott. They don't know how to. They're bragging about these games coming to PlayStation.
You know how many Call of Duties they could have boycotted for just being shitty, and they still bought the game, and they're gonna boycott just because it's on Game Pass? Are you kidding me?
No, I mean, sorry. Let's rephrase that. Okay, that did make sense the way I said it. Like, the game will be played, right? Sony obviously has access to the game. They just got to pay for it versus being in the Microsoft ecosystem and part of Game Pass, and it's, quasi-free part of your membership. Do we really think that Game Pass is going to implode because the Sony audience is going to come over and play in the Game Pass ecosystem? I have to rephrase that. That's what I mean.
No.
I don't think
they're going to buy the game.
We're going to see that. They're going to buy it on the Sony system.
Yes. They're going to spend their $70.
I think this is going to be one of the first times in a while where the servers actually shit on themselves like this releases because of Game Pass. Like, just off the strength of like a cool extra 4 million, maybe 5 million. Because, even though there's 30, 40 million people that subscribe to Game Pass currently, I think a lot of those people already buy and play Call of Duty. So I'm just going to say, let's say out of the 40, maybe 5 to 10 million people don't normally play it, but because they got Game Pass, they try it out. Mm-hmm. So I think the servers are just going to shit on themselves day one. That's how I think. Like, it's just going to be a madhouse. There's going to be so many people complaining like, oh, why is this shit not working, bro? I spent the Sony people. Oh, man, I spent $70 on this shit. It's not even, the servers don't work. They're going to blame Microsoft. They're going to be like, oh, Microsoft bought this shit and they can't even get the servers to work. Like, it's going to be bad. It's going to be fucking terrible. Like, watch, I guarantee you. Clip this. Everybody just listening to this. Just remember my words when night happens and people can't play because there's too many people trying to hit the servers. Like, it's going to be big. Me personally, Black Ops is the only Call of Duty that I enjoyed playing, but I still don't enjoy playing Call of Duty. I don't like horde mode, so zombies doesn't do anything for me. And at this moment in my life, like, I don't even think just regular multiplayer where you just die, respawn is even interesting to me. So for me, Black Ops isn't going to do anything. I'm not going to be one of the people that loaded up on November or October 25th. It's not going to be me, but this shit is going to do numbers.
I do like the subject matter jump. As someone who lived through all that, it'll be interesting to see some of those clips and some of the, the things that they concoct based off of the history with it being the Iraqi War, the Gulf War. So I interest in that. And, since it's going to be on Game Pass for quote unquote free, I'm going to play it because of that. Also, have they mentioned anything about Warzone? Like, are they going to mold that again or give a new version? They're going to have to, right? Because of the Sony and the whole platform change.
I know Warzone is getting updates still. It just had that Fallout update, but do you mean like a Warzone 2 type of deal?
Yeah, they're going to have, they're already on Warzone 3. I think they're going to have to update the client because of Microsoft's acquisition, right?
Nah, I think it's just business as usual.
The launchers matter because the launcher, they're going to have to change all of that. Like right now, if you play COD, it's awful, by the way. You have to log into the game and then you get like a quasi launcher. And this is coming from us on a PlayStation. Mm-hmm. You log in, there's like a quasi launcher, and then you have to select the game because it functions off a keyring, which is weird. Like the disc literally doesn't even matter because it just gives you permission to play. But it functions like a keyring. So if you don't own the other one, you can't play the one it's showing you on the keyring. But Like for Modern Warfare 2, it showed me Modern Warfare 2, and then obviously Warzone. I owned Modern Warfare because it was part of a, the free monthly thing for PlayStation, so I had access to it. But I hear a lot of people complaining about the launcher and how it works. And that was an Activision thing, Blizzard Activision thing.
They still keeping up with that because they already said that the game's going to be 300 gigabytes.
Yeah, see, that's awful too, but that's a whole different problem. Our systems don't even have enough memory on it to put up with that crap.
I'm getting that 2 terabytes, man. I need it.
Spoilers.
This next one here was my favorite title. This is the one that I was most excited for, and it was early on in the show too, and that is Doom: The Dark Ages. It had leaked ahead of time, not the trailer or anything like that, but what the title was, what the setting was, about less than a week before the showcase. Did not matter. This got a lot of talk online. The trailer was incredible. ID Software announced Doom: The Dark Ages, which is a prequel to Doom 2016, and it features the iconic Doom Slayer battling demonic hordes. It is expected to launch in 2025. It's going to have ground combat, epic storytelling, new gameplay mechanics. I don't know if this is new to the Doom franchise, but that mech suit that you put on,
yes.
I mean, that was incredible.
Yes, the mech suit, the fucking flying on the damn dragon thing, like that. All of that's new. And it's fucking dope, man. Like, this shit looks so fucking cool. The music sounds incredible. Obviously, the graphics look good because it's software. They're geniuses when it comes to video game engines. So, like, I don't see how you could see this and think that this shit isn't gonna hit. Like, that is pretty much a guarantee it's gonna be fire. And then on top of that, this shows specifically why purchasing Bethesda was so important to Microsoft, because with right now, that's all that's keeping them up. Starfield, you got Indiana Jones, because that's the Machine Games, which is under Bethesda. Then you got Doom. Like, they're keeping the lights on damn near, because the rest of Microsoft's studios, besides for Playground Games with Forza Horizon, like, that's the only thing that's keeping the lights on over there when it comes to these games. Those are the only ones that you know for a fact it's going to drop and it's going to get good reviews from critics and get the sales to back it up.
This will be my first Doom game in fucking years. I mean, this is, and it still looks like it plays almost the same. I know, I hear great things about the last 2 Doom games, Doom 2016. Even the PlayStation ponies that I hear on these other podcasts are like, oh yeah, I mean, I played Doom 2016 and that was good, but I mean, I didn't really need any more. And it's like, that's like the best they can say about this thing.
The second one after that,
Doom Eternal.
Doom Eternal is crazy good.
Yeah, they dropped the same day of Animal Crossing as we went into COVID.
Bobby, are you going to be playing Doom: The Dark Ages with us?
Maybe. Looks all right.
It looked awesome.
With the shield?
Yes.
Oh, come on.
Loading a fucking skull into the gun and shit.
I'll wait for your game invite.
Yeah, and you'll get it too, because it just looks insane. It's like the perfect marriage of things where you have your medieval setting and your sci-fi put together and demons. Like, all of that, it just worked so perfectly, and they got creative with the weapons too. They really did get creative. And if they come out with, do they do DLC for these Doom games typically with extra weapons, levels, whatever?
Yeah, the last one for Doom Eternal, it's notorious for people saying this shit is hard as fuck. Like, I don't know, they just cranked the difficulty up on it, but it's really good. It's really good.
Oh, that's great to hear. I'm really excited for Doom: The Dark Ages. Sometime next year, probably late 2025, but it looks fucking finished. I mean, there was nothing I could pick at as far as how polished the game looks.
They know what they're doing. Engine, man, I'm telling you, they got that shit down to a science. They can make this shit. I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't come out on like the Switch 2, because they made Doom on the Switch and it looked like Doom. So if they can pull some wizardry out of the hat and put it on the Switch, this shit runs at like 40 FPS on a Steam Deck, still looks great. Like, if they can do that now, then there's no telling how this shit's gonna look. I wouldn't be surprised if it has a little bit of like ray tracing in there on the Series X. I know on PC it's gonna look insane. On a maxed out PC it's gonna look insane. So they know what the fuck they're doing. And there's no complaints. You can't have a complaint here. Like, and this is, this is eventually gonna come out on PlayStation. So the PlayStation fanboys, they'll be all right.
Yeah, I think on their website, it already lists the PlayStation as one of the consoles at the very bottom of the page. So they're going to be playing. They're going to be happily paying the $70 to play this. And it sounds like it'll be well worth it. But it is another Day One Game Pass edition. This next one I saw did not really move the needle. So I think for me, too, it was one of the lesser exciting moments. I don't remember there being a whole ton of gameplay. And that's for Fable.
I'm going to fix it, this place. And no one is going to stand in my way.
Playground Games teased the next installment of Fable, exploring the question, what does it mean to be a hero in a darker narrative? So this is a collaboration with Eidos Montreal, and it promises a fresh take on the franchise, set for release also in 2025. I thought it was going to be a remake, or I don't know, but they just called it Fable. It's supposed to be the next installment. I don't know. I didn't really get too excited about this one, but what do you think? Are Fable fans going to jump back in for this?
I don't know. Like, have they mentioned that this is going to be co-op? Because from what I remember of Fable, anytime I heard Fable, it's like, oh, I played it with my girl. Oh, I played this with my boyfriend. Oh, I played this with my husband. Oh, I played this with my wife. And I haven't really heard much about if it's going to be like couch co-op like the older Fables. I know they've talked about their darker narrative and how you can choose to be the hero or the villain like all the other ones. But the most interesting thing is what you mentioned at the end, that Eidos Montreal is assisting with the creation of this game. Because didn't Microsoft have a studio helping Perfect Dark with their development? I want to say it was Eidos. It might have been, or whoever makes Tomb Raider, whichever development studio makes the Tomb Raider series, was helping on that. So that's the interesting part to me, that for a lot of these games that Microsoft has their studios working on, they also have these extra additional studios assisting with the development, which is kind of weird. But yeah, I haven't heard too much fanfare. They announced this shit like 6 years ago. So it's kind of like one of those things when they're showing gameplay and they keep reiterating, they keep letting us know, hey, what you're seeing is like what the graphics look like. So they keep wanting us to know that we're seeing bits and pieces of gameplay in some of these trailers. But it's not enough to hyped on. But the co-op aspect should be like front and center. Because again, everybody that I ever heard play Fable always mentioned how they played it with the spouse or with like their brother or sister or something.
Yeah, according to Microsoft Copilot, they have not yet confirmed any co-op for the game.
Yeah, there's not a lot there. They haven't really showed us too much, so there's not too much to get excited for. Just the nostalgia, if you have any for it. I'm interested in it, but they haven't shown us like play-by-play, in-game play. Like all we've seen is the cutscenes, and they're just trying to show us what the story is about. So I want more than that. Regardless, it'll be on Game Pass, so it'll be there to play or not to play.
Yeah, I was hoping for something like what they did with Age of Mythology, where they gave us a little breakdown. And even though it is using in-game assets, and that's great and all, but, we still got time, and there's still the August show that's coming up, so there's probably going to be more Fable in the coming months. Another showstopper for many was Gears of War E-Day. This one transports players to the pivotal Emergence Day, which features Marcus Phoenix and Dom Santiago. It is powered by Unreal Engine 5, and this visually stunning trailer set the stage for intense battles against the Locust Horde. Gears fans, everyone was asking, Gears, we need Gears. They have to announce it. And they did, although it wasn't necessarily the next installment. It is sort of a prequel. Some are saying that, I guess, Judgment was a prequel of sorts, but E-Day,
Yeah.
it seems like... So what's the difference, mates, between Judgment and E-Day? Because I keep hearing that from some of the detractors.
Man, I don't want to fuck this up because I'm the Gears guy.
Well, Judgment was smaller.
Yeah,
very
Judgment
small
was smaller, but it was also, if I remember correctly, it's before the Locust or something like that. Like, it's more about the Pendulum Wars, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. I didn't play too much of Judgment. I barely beat the game. It wasn't a good Gears game, to be honest with you. So I'm not really a fan of Judgment, but this is, I want to say, after Judgment. But the thing with Judgment was that it doesn't follow the main characters of Gears of War, which is Marcus Phoenix and Dom Santiago. So although that was a prequel of sorts, it follows Baird, which he is a character, a main character, but he's not the main character. He's kind of like a assisting character in Gears 2 and Gears 3. So it's not the same. We're following the main guy, Marcus Phoenix. They brought Dom back. Dom passed away in Gears 3. Spoiler alert for the people that haven't known. Gears 3 is like fucking 15 years old at this point, damn near. So that was like the big reveal when they showed Marcus looking so young that he looked damn near just like his son in Gears 4.
Yeah, he looks
that
like
should have
JD.
been. Yeah, so that should have been the clue that this was the prequel. But then once you see Dom pull him up, it's like, yo, like I've
give him his do-rag back.
and give him the do-rag back. That's so funny that he wears a do-rag too. Or I guess technically it's a bandana, but yeah, just I've seen people who were like super gear heads just straight up saying, yo, like I cried. I saw the trailer and I cried because like Dom, like we seen him pass away. And it was like a very emotional part of the game, Gears 3. So, dude, like the level of excitement I have, I have excitement, but it's like I can't really be excited because we don't know when it's going to come out. And we know details, how they're trying to keep it back, bring it back to like the Gears 1, gritty, dark, gory, like almost horror-esque type feel. And just the story of E-Day and how basically it's just death, practically. It just
survival.
It reminds me of Halo Reach when you play Halo Reach and it's just nothing really good happens until the end when you finally realize like the whole plot point was you cleaning up the data, making sure that the Covenant couldn't get the data, and then you give the package, which is Cortana, to Keys, and then you're like, okay, that was the mission. But then your character dies in the end, just trying to fight off the Horde at the end. So it's like, with this, it's going to be fucking depressing. Like Dom lost his wife around this time. Like it's crazy. So, and having all of that in Unreal Engine 5 with those crazy, insane graphics. And then that's just going with the story and the single player. That's like the campaign. That's not even talking about the multiplayer, which I'm a huge fan of Gears multiplayer. So
I don't know why you're talking about the graphics, because Jeff Keighley said that was all CG.
Yeah, just Blur Studios doing their thing. Jesus, man.
I think this is going to bridge the gap between 3 and Judgment, or Judgment and 3, because the what you were talking about, Mace, the Judgment Day, E-Day, they talk about Emergence Day all the time.
Yeah.
And we kind of saw it in 3 when all the holes opened up in the ground and it started causing the tunnel, which was some of the new Horde that they saw. So they reference it because that storyline is where it took us to Dom's death with the conclusion of E-Day. So I think this is the beginning of E-Day that they talked about and they referenced and that we haven't seen yet. So it's a callback. And obviously using a younger Marcus Phoenix that can use the same voice actor and all that stuff. and obviously Dom. And Dom was very popular in the story as well. That's the good thing about the Gears story, is it's got so much lore behind it, and the fact that they can do a callback, go to a Gear. Technically, this is Gear 6, and they're going to do a callback game to reference the timeline that they've kind of essentially skipped through. I think it's pretty cool. The hate that it's going to get in these times compared to like COD is that this people don't know this that haven't played Gears. This might end up being a phenomenal game. The thing that an obstacle there that for some players that may not translate is it is a cover-based game. Mm-hmm. So your classic hold down the left stick to sprint is not a thing. Like you hold down X to sprint and it's all cover-based. And then it's got an active reload system with the guns that you use. It's very important to use active reload system because it affects your ammo and your damage output. So it's a different way to play an FPS since it's cover-based. But historically, the Gears games have always been good. Judgment was, what it was. I mean, even Gears 5. Gears 5 was crazy good considering the small open world thing that they try to introduce to it, which is pretty neat. So Gears is a good franchise. We've been waiting for this for a while. Like, I wanted to see the wrap up of the story that we've been focusing on with the what's her name's mother, but we'll get to that eventually.
I don't think we ever will.
Who knows? This game could be a split game. It could be partially past and then partially future. We don't know that. Doesn't have a number attached to it. It's just E-Day.
Well, I was almost thinking that they're going to release a Gear 6 eventually. This is kind of something in the meantime, another part that they can explore. They can go back to some of its roots. This is good for the franchise for sure.
And my favorite part is that it's Gears of War. It's not Gears. Yes. It's not just Gears. It's Gears of War. So, and they knew that they had to bring the of war back. So that's the game, the graphics, the music, the story, like all of that, just calling back to that first Gears, which for somebody, like if you went from the original Xbox or the PS2, you bought a 360 at launch and you put Gears of War in, you were like, yo, what the fuck is this? Like the gameplay, the sound, the graphics, how gory it was just like night and day. If you compare like the last PS, like going from San Andreas to putting in Gears of War into your fucking system, like you'd be like, bro, what the fuck? Like graphics just jumped a leap.
This will probably come out on PS5 as well, if I had to guess. Do you do a remaster of Gears 1 through 3 before you release E-Day?
If they're doing that, you kind of have to. Like, you gotta put these games. If you're gonna put E-Day on PS5, you gotta come out and do a remaster. Not so much a remaster, just a re-release, really. Like, the games still hold up. One, they already remastered the original Gears of War 1. Gears of War 3 still looks really good. Just up-res. If they just up-res that, it will be fine. Gears 2 might be the one where it's like, because they never came out with a re-release of it, and up-resing that won't look good at all. Even though I have played the backwards compatible mode in 4K for Gears 2, and it looks good in 60 FPS. It looks good, but it could look way better. Like, it's going to be very jarring when you go from Gears of War 1 remastered with incredible graphics running in Unreal Engine 4, and then you go down to Gears of War 2, back down to Unreal Engine 3, just up-res. It won't look as hot. So I think if they were going to do it, they definitely need to go ahead and at least remaster would be good, but that's a lot of work. It's not easy. At least releasing the games, if at the very least putting them on PC, because Gears 2 and Gears 3 isn't even on PC.
I don't think this game's coming to Sony. Sorry. Just not going to happen. It's a Microsoft flagship title, just like Halo. Eventually, like if the game sharing comes to this must happen because gaming is dead, sure. But it's not going to happen anytime soon. That'd be the same as like Xbox would have to have like God of War or any other Sony exclusive like Ratchet and Clank. That's the only way that's going to happen.
Well, if the rumors are true that you can have Steam on the next Xbox, you will be able to get some God of War, all the Sony games, Spider-Man on your Xbox. That they could.
Yeah, we'll see how that works. Steam is interesting because it's not publicly traded, so that apparently has been shut down recently, but I don't know. That's a weird one.
The next title we also discussed on the last Xbox showcase, or I think it was a developer's direct. It's Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So in this one, players assume the role of the iconic archaeologist and uncover history's mysteries. It's launching later this year, and it promises thrilling gameplay and stunning visuals. So once again, they confirmed 2024, which I know I was a little iffy on, especially with that first look trailer. It looked like it could have still used a little bit of polish, but what do you think of this second trailer now that they're saying it's coming out this year?
It looks a little bit more polished than the original trailers. Looks like they cleaned up a little bit of stuff that looked kind of awful, like the plane, some of the lip syncing in that first trailer. But from what as a person that has literally watched zero Indiana Jones and just seen it in passing, this is the most Indiana Jones shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, it looks more Indiana Jones than some of those trailers of the last two movies that I've put out. And from what I've seen online, that's pretty much what everybody's saying. It was like, this looks like a playable Indiana Jones movie. Like, they got the sound down, they got the look down, they got the quirkiness down, the campiness down. So hopefully they get the gameplay down. I'm definitely going to try it out for sure, since it's on Game Pass.
All right,
yeah, it looks
Bobby,
good.
Disney's
excited for it. No, it's Microsoft's Indiana Jones.
Disney's getting a cut. And apparently they're happy with the game. They're really happy with how it looks too.
Yeah, I'll play it. It'll be on Game Pass, so it'll be there for me to try out, I guess. Doesn't look bad. Looks neat. Generally, a lot of the talking heads around the industry are very excited for this one. So we'll see. Machine Games is an awesome developer, so this should impress. It is slated for Q4, so they have committed to that. We'll see what happens.
Another expected announcement was Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. This is the next installment in the franchise, and it does offer more flight simulation experience, diverse aircraft, and stunning visuals, that's for sure. The graphics were incredible. It's scheduled for release November 19th of this year, and you can explore various career paths in aviation. I've never played any of these games, but I know they're very popular. I know people love them. They play the hell out of them. They don't stop playing them. You can do all kinds of stuff in it. It's kind of like, I guess I'd compare it to something like Minecraft, where there's sort of endless possibilities if you're into flight sims and all the different places you can go to, the different planes you can try out, the DLC that they throw in. Not my thing, but I know a lot of people are going to be playing the hell out of it.
It's neat. I played the current version that's out when it released. It's difficult if you're not used to flight sims, that's for sure. The really, really cool thing about the games is the map, the high accuracy of the maps, so you can literally fly by your house. You have real weather patterns, so like when there's a hurricane out there somewhere, everybody gets online and goes and flies through the hurricane. So like that's the really neat, intriguing things that are just super cool about that type of game. I tried it. It's not for me. It's so difficult, and I don't have the time to adapt to try to want to learn it, because essentially all you're doing is just flying a plane. There are built-in, like, quote-unquote missions, but not what you're used to in other games. It's just fly here, right? So for enthusiasts, this is great, and the current iteration is highly successful and highly popular. I just don't have the time or patience for flight sims. I tried it. It wasn't for me. I deleted it. It's there. Maybe when the new one comes out, I'll try that one too, just because how cool it is. But it is the curve is high. It's a difficult game to play, for good reason, of course.
It's very cool. Like, I've seen people where they just do the whole like autopilot, have the game fly around, and use that as like a background. Like they just have it on their TV, just playing a flight going over through like Paris or some shit. Like, it's cool. The thing where I was like, why was mostly because it's coming out like so soon. Like the last one came out in 2020, and I feel like flight simulators usually last a little bit longer than 4 years. But they did come out and say that virtually all of your add-ons that you purchase for 2020's version will work with 2024.
Wow.
They just haven't said whether like those third-party add-ons, because it has like a mod thing, kind of like Starfield. So yeah, that's those third-party ones, and I think some of those like little, like the Top Gun Maverick. I don't know if they said that that's going to carry over, but they said virtually all. So that I would think that means like 90 something percent of the stuff you bought, which is crazy. Like, and that's where I would say I'm okay with them coming out with the 2024. If they would have dropped the 2024 and then said you got to buy all your shit again, that would have been fucking awful.
That's a Nintendo
terrible. Yeah, like that would have been crazy. But the fact that they let all the stuff carry over is really good. You know, for you flight sim fans, if you spent, which I've heard people spend $300-$400 on all those add-ons, all the different planes and helicopters and shit you can get in. Yeah, if that's you, then at least some of this shit is carrying over, so you won't be completely hosed. It's not going to be like when people spend $300-$400 on their 2K My Player and then have to spend that money again next year.
Yeah, there's people that go all in and buy the full package deal. Man, they get the freaking all the accessories to make it, like actual flight simulator. So
yeah,
that is a thing, and the enthusiasts do love it. And I wish I was in that kind of sphere, because it's just really cool, and just not.
People kept saying and asking and predicting this next game, and I honestly did not think that they were going to announce it at this showcase. But they did, and I was surprised. Even though, they showed the gameplay first. Like, okay, there's this spy elements to it. They didn't show the gun until the very end, and that's when I'm like, oh shit, is it? And then they released it and revealed Perfect Dark.
There's no going back.
This unveiled a ton of gameplay in the trailer. It does blend elements of ecological sci-fi with espionage, and you do follow Joanna Dark's journey as she uncovers mysteries threatening millions of lives in a near-future setting. I'm getting sort of reboot vibes from this one. It doesn't look like it even the same character as the last one, which is fine, and the one thing is I was expecting a little bit more gunplay, since that's what I remember Perfect Dark for being. But the reception so far online has been very positive for this game. It seems like people were predicting Perfect Dark because they missed Perfect Dark, because there was these rumors that they were going to come out with it, and they finally confirmed it with this gameplay trailer.
Yeah, this one got announced a long time ago.
Yeah, it got announced like back in 2020.
Did they say what it was? They just said a Perfect Dark, though, right?
Yeah, they just said they're making a Perfect Dark and it's going to be coming out at some point, but they never gave a date. Still, even with this one, they haven't given us a date. Am I tripping? Doesn't the character kind of look like the chick from Captain Marvel? Like when I seen it, I was like, wait, did they have her doing mocap? Like it doesn't look like old Perfect Dark.
Yeah, it doesn't look like her, but also I wouldn't insult Joanna Dark that way either.
that explains why. That explains why Daniel's so excited about this game. Makes sense.
You're thinking of Brie Larson.
Yeah, it looked like her to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just tripping. Yeah, but that was the first thing I saw when I saw the trailer. I was like, "Yo, did they have her do the mocap for the shit?"
There's a face model that they did use, but it looks. I can see it, and I'm looking on X at the actual model they use, and it does look exactly like who they had in the trailer. But no, it's not. It's not Brie Larson.
Okay. From the gameplay, it looks like a first person mix of like the Hitman series and like Dishonored or like Deathloop. It gives me that kind of vibe of like the whole, like not a fully open world, but like a more like a open-ish map where you can. They made it seem like it's not just 1-to-1. Like you have to do the game this way. Like they make it seem like you have different ways you can tackle the mission, but the mission is the mission, kind of like on Hitman. Like there's many different ways you can deal with the mission on Hitman, but you still have to like kill a specific person, steal a specific intel, or sabotage a boat. All those things you have to do. How you do it is up to you. So that's what it gave, that kind of vibe. But then it has like that first person feel of like a Dishonored or a Deathloop. So it's very interesting. Doesn't really remind me of like what I played on N64.
No.
And especially because it looks like this game also won't have any type of multiplayer to it, like the N64 did. So, but it looks interesting. No release date, so I'm assuming not even 2025.
It is confirmed as a reboot.
Okay.
And the voice actor is Alex Wilton Reagan, with Alyssa Baird lending visual likeness.
Yeah, people kept pointing out the jawline. It's similar. That's probably what you're looking at. Mace is, she does have like the bigger jawline, kind of like Brie Larson. That's the one thing I noticed between the two. So.
Only Daniel would identify those aspects of.
Yeah, it was that terrible. It's just burned in my mind, man. It had the opposite effect. I couldn't forget that
As it should.
film. That doesn't count as the podcast, by the way, that we're supposed to be talking about that fucking movie. Next is South of Midnight from Compulsion Games.
A boat and a church.
This was his first gameplay trailer. It is an action-adventure set in the darkly gorgeous Deep South. Players navigate a flooded landscape, encountering all kinds of monstrous creatures and magical powers. Kind of had almost this stop-motion-like effect to it. Another one that is not for me, but the type of graphical look and gameplay to it does look pretty unique compared to what you'd normally see out of an action-adventure. Again, this showcase had a little bit of something for everyone, so this definitely, I think, scratches that itch for people that are looking for something more non-multiplayer, action-adventure, magic-based, fantasy. It's got all of that in.
Yeah, I like what Microsoft is doing. I don't know if this is on purpose, but they when you said like, oh, they have a little bit of everything, it's like they're hitting every single angle. Like you get your first person shooters, you get your first person adventure games. Oh, I heard you like giving Game of the Year awards to all these third person action games. Here's a third person action game. So I like it. The art style is crazy. Like having that stop motion type feel, but then in 60 FPS is it's weird, but then it looks cool. So
it's got a Borderlands look.
Yeah, it has like that Borderlands, like cell shading, cartoony look to it, but then it has like a Coraline type feel.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Right now, apparently, there's like these weird right wing dudes online. Apparently, there's some company that does like, I guess, affirmative action type work where they look at your game and decide like, oh, if it's progressive or not, what you could add to it, or if it would offend certain people. There's a company that does that work with video games, and apparently they worked on the game. So like all the like weirdo loser right wing type people are online are talking shit about this game and how it sucks, even though they haven't really showed much. But the gameplay they did show, it gives kind of like a Dark Souls kind of feel. It looks like, although the character was attacking very fast, to me, how they positioned the camera and how the attacks were kind of long and drawn out, it makes me feel like it might have like Dark Souls, Elden Ring type combat to it when they actually let the enemies attack you. Because, you know, when they show these types of games, they always make it so that the enemies don't do shit. They don't hurt you. They don't hurt the player that's like showing off the gameplay, and they kind of don't even attack. They kind of just stand there because they don't want to show like the person playing getting their ass whooped. But that's what it kind of gave me the feel of. So I like the game, how the graphics look and the gameplay looks interesting. So I'm curious to see when this is going to come out and how it will be received.
Yeah, it definitely looks interesting. And I'll agree with Macio, the art style is pretty interesting. That's what has me interested in it. at the end of the day, it may not be a game I like or any of us like, but who knows? I'll definitely try it out just because it looks interesting. I mean, the story seems pretty cool with this weird like poison post-apocalyptic survival kind of going on there with the mutated animals. So it's pretty neat. I'll check it out. And we'll see what it's about.
Next one announced was State of Decay 3 from Undead Labs.
No one is forgotten. We live on.
So this trailer featured evolving zombie threats and intense survival gameplay. So players get to explore a post-apocalyptic world and build a community of survivors in this highly anticipated sequel. I didn't find a release date for State of Decay 3, but what do you guys think?
This one got announced a long time ago, and it's just been missing every single year. They literally don't say anything about it. So this is the first time we've actually seen it in action. Looks like it's done. I'm pretty sure they said it comes out September, October. So it's slated for this year. It's been missing for a while because State of Decay 2 was pretty good when that came out. I remember playing. I didn't even know about State of Decay, and State of Decay 2 came out, and a coworker got me into it. Just the premise of it. Watched the video, and I was like, "Holy crap, that seems really, really cool." And sure enough, I bought it, and it's like this weird, like it's cool. You can drop in, and you're just part of this like people that are trying to survive, and everybody gets their own little jobs, and you just go out and run mission. It's like Walking Dead. You're trying to preserve and grow things and sustain life after this all happens. And if you die, you can start over, but it hurts the place where I can't think of the term, the place that you're at, and the settlement. That's what I'm trying to say. You can drive vehicles, and it has a co-op aspect to it. And if there's somebody's working on gardening, another person's working on hunting, so it's really cool. So I'm interested to see where State of Decay 3 goes, how elaborate the settlement job system's going to be, and how it'll translate to your playing daily and things like that.
Yeah, they announced this shit way too early. This was announced back in like 2018. Obviously, they didn't show anything. They just said, "Hey, State of Decay, like Undead Labs is working on State of Decay 3," and they showed the title card for it. But then they showed like a cutscene trailer for it back in 2020, and still we have no game. We've talked about this before, maybe a year ago, maybe a year before. Honestly, at this point, I think Undead Labs just finessed the shit out of Microsoft. Like Microsoft purchased these guys because of State of Decay 1. State of Decay 2 was slightly better, but like they wanted and asked and basically were happy that they were getting purchased by Microsoft, because Microsoft was going to inject them with all this money, and it would basically allow them to make the zombie post-apocalyptic zombie game of their dreams, and they were going to get all this money and turn it into a AAA game. And then State of Decay 2 came out, and it was basically just a more functional, smooth, better animation version of State of Decay 1. And then from what we saw in this trailer, this just looks like a Unreal Engine 5 version of State of Decay 2. And for all of that, just for 6 years? It took them 6 years just to give us a Unreal 5 engine version of that. Like Unreal 5 engine's been done since 2021. How is it? And they have the coalition assisting them with Unreal Engine 5 tech. So it shouldn't have taken this long. And we still don't have a release date.
Yeah,
it might come out this year. It might come out in 2025. Like, what are they adding to this game that's taking them this long?
I think that has a lot to do with the studio squeezing. They probably didn't get that influx of cash that, you were just speaking of. And like, to be fair, part 2 did get better along the way with that cash infusion. It did get much better. I think that was when it hit Game Pass, is it when it got better.
Yeah.
So State of Decay 2 does have a huge following because of that. It's just been so long. And then, the trailer, as soon as it popped up, I was like, oh, wow, we're actually going to see State of Decay 3. That was gameplay. Looks phenomenal. Like, it looks really, really good. The transition from cutscene to gameplay, the pivots, looks really, really good. Looks like they're using a lot of live mocap and a lot of those renderings, like when they were jumping the fence. Like, that's all realistic. or it's just Unreal 5 just doing its thing. But it looks good. I mean, we got to play it. Let's see what the systems are. But yeah, it does look like a clone of 2. So hopefully it's more than that. Hopefully it's more than what we saw. And there's probably more to be shown. But I still believe this is coming out this year. Just because literally the game they have coming out this year is Indiana Jones. So this coming out besides Call of Duty, this coming out later this year, late summer, early fall, would make a lot of sense.
These next 4 titles didn't make as big of a splash, but there's some third party in the mix as well. So there was Atomfall, Dragon Age The Veilguard, Metal Gear Solid, Delta Snake Eater, and Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl.
Commencing virtuous mission now.
The most I've heard from these are Dragon Age and Metal Gear as far as excitement level, but how about you guys? Were any of these surprises? Anything you're looking forward to? Something more you want to say about Atomfall, Dragon Age, Metal Gear, or Stalker?
I really hope Stalker 2 actually releases this year. I mean, this shit was supposed to come out in 2020. It got delayed to 2021. Then Russia decided that they needed to do what they're doing in Ukraine. And then the guy, the fucking studio had to leave Ukraine. Some of them stayed. Some of them are fighting in the army. They got hacked by Russian hackers. Like everything that could go wrong with the development of this game went wrong. And the fact, if this game comes out, is even just good, not great, not amazing, it's just good. That's a testament to these guys' hard work. If this game is game of the year level, then they're fucking wizards. But the fact that they were able to get any of this shit, the fact that this game even releases is already just like incredible.
And the studio
is actually
like
good,
6 guys.
Yeah.
And it's highly acclaimed.
Yeah, if this shit comes out and it's an amazing game, like they deserve all the kudos, all the money. I will buy this shit. I will literally buy it, even though it's going to be on Game Pass day one. And I'll be remiss to not talk about Dragon Age. My buddy Sean, huge Dragon Age fan, I'm pretty sure he's played all of them. I've watched him for at least a couple of hours play Dragon Age 1 and Dragon Age 2 when we used to live together back in the day. This shit, what happened to the grittiness? What happened to the blood, the death and despair? Like, what the fuck? After you watch the guys in the gameplay just slashing up demons and shit, and then the cutscene starts up and everybody's clean, not a speck of dirt, not a drop of blood. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, they Disney-fied fucking Dragon Age. The gameplay looks good, though.
Yeah, the take is interesting. We'll see where that goes. I was definitely kind of baffled by that trailer, especially the whole like genre job intros that they showed. I'm like, wait, what are we doing here now? I thought we were looking at like a Gauntlet, like a modern Gauntlet trailer, but no, it's Dragon Age. So that was weird. The guy talking in the bar, that didn't look polished at all. So there's some issues there. And then obviously they didn't reveal the last character that they want to be their leader, which is going to be another character that was slicing everybody up in that tavern or whatever.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Delta, we saw that last year or the year before they announced it. So we saw some gameplay. It's pretty cool. It's going to be neat, but that's going to be on all the platforms. And this is not coming to Game Pass, so this will have to be a purchase. Stalker 2, everything Macio said, super crazy that they've even been able to get to this point, having to leave their houses and evacuate and not be able to finish the game. That's why it's been delayed for so long. And when it was first announced, a lot of acclaim around it because a lot of people like the first Stalker. So the fact that we're going here and the testament of time to go through what these people have gone through in real life is crazy. So we'll see if it if and when it comes out. Hopefully it stands up to what it's promised to deliver. Interesting games. We'll see when they come out. Dragon Age, again, it was announced forever ago, and this is the first time we see anything really concrete instead of just like a title or like a video. So a little more there this time, so we'll see where that goes. Atomfall, don't really care. Looks interesting, but just don't care for it.
They also gave us some updates for live games like Diablo 4, The Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout 76, that was a big one, Sea of Thieves, another huge update. Now we're seeing that on PS5, and that was actually the number one most purchased game on the PlayStation Store. And also World of Warcraft, tons of new content and experiences for players to enjoy. So stuff for games that are already out. They're supporting the games that are on other platforms too. So I think that's great. The big one, of course, was Starfield, but these are big hitters too. And Fallout, seeing another influx of new players thanks to that incredible show. I mean, all of this is just good for the players.
Yeah, I'm liking it. Sea of Thieves, killing it on PlayStation, just extra free money. When speaking of Fallout, the new season, or now the current season of Fortnite, is like a whole post-apocalyptic season, and they have a Fallout collaboration in the game currently. So all that thanks to the show. So I'm glad that Fallout lives.
Yeah, they fell for it, right? Is what we kept saying. Like,
yeah,
the viewers went and they consumed the rest of the stuff as it's supposed to, but they did it like fucking hardcore. Women watched the show, liked it because of the no-nose cowboy guy, and then they went and wanted to play the fucking games. It's amazing. It captured both sexes.
Yeah, Walter Goggins is amazing. So he fulfilled that role to the T. Diablo 4, I'm excited for that because Diablo's great, and the fact that they're adding an expansion to it. I'm interested in if I'm going to have to pay for that because it is on Game Pass, but I didn't start playing on Game Pass. I'm playing on PS5. So I'm pretty sure the game doesn't transfer over, so I'd have to start over. And then I think the expansion you have to pay for. It's not going to be in Game Pass. Diablo 4 is, but the expansion you're going to have to pay for. So I think it's like $20 or $30 because you're getting a new map area, some new quests lines, and then the new job class. So they didn't really list the job class in the trailer, but it looks like it's Witch Doctor or something else. Interesting though. It was a very good trailer, so we'll see where that goes. Elder Scrolls Online, don't give two shits. Fallout 76, that's really cool. Glad that they're able to spin a TV show and drum up some more money. Among the streaming community, everybody's streaming the old Fallout games, so it's just an endless money pit at this point. Sea of Thieves continues to impress. I love that game. It's just hard to get people together to play with because you can't play that game solo. It is very difficult. It's almost impossible to solo once you get past the intro in the beginning. So, but playing with a couple people, it's a really cool game. You just have to invest some time because sailing across the water can end your journey very quickly. And then World of Warcraft, I'm glad to see that they're still putting on expansions for that. Specifically said coming to PC, so I guess they're still not going to integrate that into Game Pass at any point in time. It was a big wow head back in the day, but this will make 3 expansions that I'm up behind on, so still just playing a lot of Final Fantasy 14 instead.
Which they didn't announce at this show. That was another one that people were saying that, like the supposed leakers were like, they're going to announce the new Xbox in white and Final Fantasy coming to the Xbox system, and no, we didn't get any Final Fantasy at this one, which I was actually surprised.
They already announced that,
but they didn't.
14 is on the Xbox now.
It is now. Or not 14. Yeah. What was the one that just flopped?
So you're talking Rebirth. About other games, other 16 games, and then Rebirth. Yeah,
16 is what I'm thinking of, but yeah, Rebirth as well. But
I think that's later.
16 was the rumor.
Eventually, those will come, but I think those contracts need to run out first because the games already exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Square Enix is already moving away from that. They announced it at their last earnings on how it really hurt them to have exclusivity deals. So it's very clear that they're going to move into a direction more like Microsoft's of let's try to be in as many places as we can and take everyone's money, not just our fans's.
Yeah, and 14 is now on PC, PlayStation, Xbox. I said twice, my bad. So it's on all of them. So working.
So we need 16 and Rebirth, and we're all set.
Sounds like Final Fantasy needs to put out a TV show so they can. Interesting.
I kind of already mentioned it, but the big announcement people were saying, is it going to be the handheld? Is it going to be even the next Xbox, which Macio and I laughed at? But the most expected one was the refresh, because that leaked in the documents. And one of the things was some people were saying that they were going to skip the refresh and go straight into handheld. Phil Spencer did say that a bunch of those plans from the leaks had changed since 2020, I want to say, is when those plans were in effect. And they did announce the new Xbox Series X and S consoles this holiday season. they're expanding their lineup with 3 new options. The Xbox Series S 1 terabyte in Robot White. So it's going to have twice the storage capacity of the previous model, retains all of the features from X and S for $349.99. Then there's the Series X model for 1 terabyte. It's the digital edition. So this has the speed and performance of the Series X in an all-digital format for $449.99. And finally, the Xbox Series X 2 terabyte Galaxy Black Special Edition. It is going to be limited with double the storage, and it's going to be at specific retailers that they have not revealed yet. And this one's going to be $599.99. They said retailers and pre-orders are going to be revealed real soon. So by this holiday season, no later than October, I'm sure pre-orders will be up. I wouldn't be shocked if by the end of July I have my pre-order down. So this was interesting because Mason and I had anticipated pricing, and I would say that this was probably the bid, even though they've got me, man. They've got me, but I posted this news on Xbox Facebook groups, and a lot of people were saying, this is for people that don't own an Xbox, because no one's going to be upgrading to this, is what it sounds like. If you already have the X or S, there's no reason to get these new models.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you can see me right now, I'm wearing a clown nose and a clown wig, because that's what that's for. Just buy external storage. This is a joke. This is what there's the reason why they only spent like 5 seconds showing this and moving on.
This is why Bobby's my man. I knew he was going to agree with me. This shit is bullshit.
Absolute
pricing. The pricing on this is a joke. 6 months ago, during the holiday season, you could get a Series S 500 gigabyte.
250.
No, not even 250. 150.
Oh yeah.
150.
The sale price. Yeah.
The terabyte was going for 250.
Yeah.
And they're telling us 350 for the terabyte Series S. Okay, whatever. Put the Series S to the side. Series X digital version, 1 terabyte for $449. Right now, you can get the digital PS5 digital edition 1 terabyte for $400.
Yep.
The Series X 2 terabyte, $600. We're back to the $599 like the fucking E3 when the PS3 got announced. What the fuck? Last time I checked, according to everybody, groceries, you can't even go in the grocery store. An apple costs $10. That's how people act. Because inflation is kicking everyone's ass. They say like, oh man, I go in the store and bananas are $10. Like, it's not $10, but that's how people feel when they go to the grocery store. That's how people feel when they look at their property tax and it's gone up. Their property insurance. We're in Florida. Property insurance is crazy. Rent is high. And you're telling me $600 for 2 terabytes? You can get a PS5 digital edition $449. Buy the SSD, a 1 terabyte SSD for $60.
Yep.
$70. What are we like? Come on, man. I'm an Xbox fan. I've owned every Xbox, the OG, the 360, the Xbox One, the Series X. This pricing is dog shit. I don't care about inflation. I don't care about you. Well, if you take the 2020 $500 for the Series X and then you add inflation, I don't give a fuck about it. Right now, Microsoft is in last place. They're losing. They've been losing. They obviously, you can't even count the Switch, but they've been losing to the PlayStation 5 this entire generation. And they haven't been selling consoles. At least they've been missing their own targets for hardware. And the brilliant solution to that isn't drop the price. It's put out higher priced items compared to our competitor in a different color and just say, hey, this is what we got. Like, this is the best. Like, they were selling Series X for $350. 1 terabyte with the disc drive for $350, $400.
The current models you can buy in the store right now is a better value, and it's cheaper because the drive itself with the disc in there, you can just play movies on it or do other things with it. The fact that you're going to pay more to get an item that doesn't have the drive access Granted, they're taking their games off the shelf and going digital anyways. What does that matter? I can play on my Samsung TV via app, or on my damn phone via app through the cloud, or on my PC through the cloud. So what is $600 going to do that a $60 drive that I can buy externally to get another 5 gigs if I want, or terabytes if I wanted to? This explains why that announcement was like a total of 5 seconds and then flashed off the screen. They put it there because I had to, and they're going to get torched for it. Anybody that's listening to this and thinking that, oh my God, I want to buy the Galaxy Black Special Limited Edition with double storage for $600, I will give you my clown nose. You can walk into the store with it. Don't do that. Buy the unit that's in the store now. You'll save money. It's cheaper, and you can buy external storage, and it's better. And you have the disk drive too. So just don't do it. These options are awful, and what a joke. I can't believe that they announced this, opposed to what the solutions were for Sony a couple months ago with their updates and upgrades. Like these systems have no upgrades. The only thing they're touting is the digital edition on the X. Whatever. Who cares? Like, what a joke.
Yeah, well, we're literally 4 years into this generation. The Series X isn't selling well. The Series S should be $200, even with the terabyte. $200. Maybe you could stretch that to $250. The Series X digital should be $400. It technically should be less because they're losing to Sony, so they need to sell consoles. Obviously, they don't give a fuck about consoles anymore. About Activision, they're getting the Activision money, they're getting the Candy Crush money, so they don't care. But if they actually did, and according to Phil, they only sell Game Pass subscriptions because of Xbox, the actual hardware. That's what Phil said. So you can't grow the subscriptions without growing the Xbox console. You're not selling consoles at the price point you want. It's supply and demand. Lower the fucking price, you will get higher demand. Make people look and say, well, shit, I could get a Series X for fucking $400 and the PlayStation 5 is $450. And I'm going to get Game Pass, and it has Call of Duty and Fable and Perfect Dark and Stalker, and like, then people might shift it over to the Series X. But to be either at a higher price point than your competition or at the same when the competition is already outselling you almost 3-1 is asinine. It's stupid. Like, it doesn't make any sense. This pricing only makes sense in we don't want to lose money on each console sale. That's it. But guess what? You're not going to sell consoles. So you're not going to gain money on a console sale. Congratulations. It just evens out.
In other words, Daniel, you need to go to the store like now and buy an Xbox, because if you wait, you're going to pay more and get less value.
Well, I wanted to borrow your clown nose because I'm thinking that Galaxy. I don't care about the design. Like, it looks cool and all, but whatever. But I was looking at the pricing. I confirmed it with Mace on what memory I would need, and it's about $200 to $250 for the 2 terabyte expansion. So I'm looking at, okay, well, maybe at first I'm like, okay, I'll get the 1 terabyte one and then I'll get the expansion, but then I'm out an extra $250, so an additional $50 to $100 than if I were to just get the 2 terabyte model. So I'm thinking I'll get the 2 terabyte model and save the $50 as opposed to getting the drive separately and then seeing how long the 2 terabytes last me. So that was and then the other thing too is, even though they're saying it has no physical upgrades, Mason and I, we worked at GameStop. Bobby, you're a massive gamer. We know that the newer, even though they're not refreshes, they're still made with newer parts. They've got new model numbers on them, so they're technically made better. That's why I'm thinking I still want to get the latest model of these, because I know they're gonna run smoother. So yeah, I'm gonna need that rainbow wig.
You don't have a console, so it kind of makes sense, but then it also doesn't, because it's not like a pro system like the rumor with the PS5, so it's not going to be a better performing system. And to me, in this point of the generation, we at best might have another 3 years. So it's like, for another 3 years, and you're paying over the MSRP of the original console. just to get more storage. Like I understand where you're coming from because you do want storage. You're gonna want storage, especially when you have shit like Call of Duty damn near taking up half a terabyte on your system. So it makes sense, but it's like, man, paying $600 for the system when I paid $500 for my system and I've been able to enjoy it for 4 years. Like, if you don't feel like you're going to get the next console when it comes out at launch, then I guess it doesn't really matter. But for people who are thinking like, oh, I didn't jump in at the beginning, I'm going to jump in now, and then you might end up getting the next console in 2020 to 2027. It's like, I don't know. Like, that seemed like a stretch.
Yeah, like now I'm going back and forth, but I think I'm doing. The other thing too is we know, what are we saying? 3 more years to the next console. The rumor is the handheld next year. I for sure, I think we're getting it next year, and especially as much as Phil is pushing it. Not this year. These are the consoles for this year. Maybe they'll announce the handheld this year. I don't know, but for sure it's coming out next year. And then the next generation console, probably 2026 is what I'm guessing, because I know they want to, from what I'm hearing, they want to get ahead of PlayStation 6. They want to do what they did with the 360, get 1 year ahead of the PlayStation. It did really well for them. It worked out great. And so they want to try to repeat that success with the next Xbox. And I'm hearing that the handheld is going to be a companion to that new console, not so much to the current Series X's and S's. So that's the one thing that I'm like, all right, but this console, when I get it, is going to be my console for the next couple of years, because I'm not going to jump in on the next box. I'm going to wait for the refresh of that one. But in the meantime, I'll have Game Pass and I'll have fucking years of games to catch up with.
True.
I'm not going to need Hellblade 3 right away. I'm not going to need the next, although the next Halo will probably, maybe it'll come out dual release. I don't know, but I'm not going to need to play the next Halo right off the bat. So, I still got some time to think. I'm sure they'll still be actually, a question to you, both of you guys, before we compare and finish off with the last couple of shows that they had. Do you think, obviously the current X and S's are going to be phased out, so production's probably going to end. This is going to be the production moving forward. Will those older models, quote unquote older models, be sold out by this holiday season as other gamers see or at least new adopters see the value in, hey, I'm not going to pay extra if it's the same system and it's not going to get me extra power, less power, whatever, battery saving, nothing. Do you think that these older consoles now are going to move a lot quicker than if they hadn't released these new terabyte models?
To the ones that are cost conscious, they're gonna start selling, which might be part of the plan to rid some of the units they're not selling, because this will be a SKU replacement. So when you go and these 3 new SKUs are out, you're not going to see the old ones. What Microsoft's going to do is they're going to recall the other ones first. There'll be a credit program for said retailers for doing so, and then the new SKUs, these 3 new SKUs, will replace the existing ones. So you won't find the same 2 in the same place unless it's like a third party like reseller, like not a GameStop, but your local like used game store that just has new stuff. Like, that's possible. But your major retailers are just going to have the 3 new SKUs. With that being said, like, the ones that don't know any better are going to end up paying more for a system that is technically not better, and that's part of the marketing that they're going to put out there. They're going to, when you start seeing ads for these, it's going to make it seem like it's a newer, better system, and technically it's not. Like Macio covered earlier, you can buy the system now; it's cheaper, the X, and it's only got 1 terabyte, and you can just add USB plug-in storage or their official plug-in storage, which costs a little more, which is discounted at the moment. But a USB SSD you can plug in, and it's less than $75 for a couple of terabytes. That's what I have on mine. Super cheap, and it works seamlessly, just like an internal drive does. And the PlayStation has a similar issue, but you can install memory fairly cheap, under $100. Do it yourself. I did it with mine. I put in a 2 terabyte blade in there. Very easy to do. Watch the YouTube video. And then I have a plug-in as well for all the extra PS4 games, because PS5 games don't operate on an isolated drive outside of what's on the system. So there are options, and it's very cheap to do so now. Back 2020, when the systems first came out, the memory to expand on these was very expensive, and it didn't make sense. But now it's so cheap. You can get external storage at a premium now. I'm sorry, not a premium, but super bargain rate for premium devices. So I advise buying one now is what I would do. And then just upgrade the memory externally for cheaper costs, and you'll spend under the $600 for the Galaxy Black.
Yeah, I'm thinking same along the lines of Bobby, like whatever credits that they can get back, they're going to get back. For the ones that can't, it's going to be a fire sale. Like those Series S's, you're going to see them at 150 again for sure. At the very least 200 with like a game, an extra controller.
Yeah,
they're going to try to get rid of
because they got rid of the disc games, so that'll probably be a good incentive.
Yeah, and then the same thing with those Series X with the discs. With the disc tray, they're going to try to get rid of them. They're going to be giving out games for it just so they can get those games, those last of those games that they have, like that they haven't sold, like a 2K or any disc game really that they're just trying to get rid of. They'll just package that up and say, oh, here's $400 Series X, just get it out the store. Because, you know, those credit systems do work, but sometimes it's not going to cover the amount that you're going to get back. So then they still have to fire sell them. I would say, like, wouldn't be surprised if you see like a Costco or any of those stores, and then also check out the manufactured refurbished systems, because I'm pretty sure those they're not going to have credits on those at all. So they're going to have to sell them, and they'll probably sell like a Series X refurb for $370, $369, $380. So you'll be able to even jump in on one of those. Right now, you can go on Facebook Marketplace and get a PS5 and an Xbox Series X for $120, $240. Like people are hurting out here, so they're trying to get rid of stuff and make whatever money they need to pay their rent or pay their car note. So you can get deals. You know, you might want to crack it open and shake it out, make sure to get the roaches out of it. As me and Dan know from working at GameStop, people coming in with the roach-filled consoles all the time. So you might want to crack them open, blow some air through them, make sure no roaches start flying out. But if you need a system and you haven't gotten one yet, there's deals to get. There's deals to be had out here. So I wouldn't just hold my hat on these systems, especially because like the PS5 and the Series X, like there's been no like super known defects like with the 360, hell, the red ring or the yellow light of death on PS3. Like these systems have been very, very reliable. Haven't heard too many people talking about their PS5 or the Series X sounding like an airplane or a helicopter. So if you get a used system, as long as the person wasn't like throwing water in it, you'll probably be fine. So, but again, it's just the pricing of it is bad. The system itself is fine. The pricing is bad, and it's bad for Microsoft because they're not selling consoles at that price point now. I don't see how they think that they'll sell it at a higher price point later.
Well, I've still got time to think and save, but at least I have options, that's for sure. No new controller. I thought for sure that these new consoles would come out with that controller that's coming out, but no, they haven't announced that yet, and I don't know if they're going to come out with it at this point. What was it called? Like Project, like Brooklyn or something?
Yeah, their version of the DualSense. Bobby, are people really still doing the whole DualSense thing? Is that still like a big selling point of the PS5?
Yeah, DualSense is good on the PS5. There's games that take advantage of it, which is really, really cool. It's very neat technology. Xbox doesn't utilize that, and so if they ever do get DualSense technology on their controllers, like it definitely can be useful. My favorite point back to DualSense is the Astrobot, the free game that came with the PS5. Like that, it uses perfect. It's a perfect example of that technology because that game was short, but it served as like a tech demo for the system, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't know if that controller's coming out at this point. Implement it into the next Xbox, I'd say, and just call it a day there, because the handheld maybe it'll connect with a controller if you really wanted to, but I don't see a point in it. So save it for the next box. So Bobby, I know you brought up these. They're wearing clown noses as I am, so they're going to be buying some new Xbox Series X's. It's the State of Play and Summer Game Fest that were the same week as this killer Xbox games showcase, and they came out and they fizzled. There wasn't any massive hits like you had here with shit like the new Call of Duty, Doom, Gears of War, Next Indiana Jones, Perfect Dark. PlayStation ponies were pointing at this showcase from Xbox and telling Sony, we need one of these. This is what your show should have been. Quick, please make one of these and release it. They were desperate for something. Jeff Keighley was trying to downplay some of these releases. As earlier, he was trying to downplay Gears of War. He held up his little polls on X of, what'd you think of my Summer Game Fest? And most people rated it a D and lower. And then he immediately came back with, what'd you think of the Xbox Game Showcase? Most people rated it an A or A+, I think is what it was. He has not been seen on X in the last 17 hours. He's been going through it. State of Play, PlayStation's been going through it. This is how you do a fucking showcase, and they benefited by going third, because by them going first and not having shit, they come out looking really fucking good. PlayStation fans were watching this showcase. They want to see what games are coming to their console. And Summer Games Fest people were like, holy shit, Jeff Keighley was fucking watching this. If this had come out first or second, I don't think it would have gotten as many viewers, because the haters were getting ready to jump on it. And instead, they ended up getting a good fucking show. Xbox really pulled it out. Probably one of their best showcases ever. Definitely in the last couple of years. And
whoa.
I mean, they did really fucking good. And in the face of fucking State of Play and Summer Game Fest. So you guys probably watched those other shows. I mean, how did this compare?
Come on, man. Like, to the State of Play, you can't. That shit is a joke. That was the State of Play. I would even say it didn't even measure up to the Xbox Direct when they showed Indiana Jones. Like, it doesn't even live up to that. They showed 3 games at that shit. It was like an hour long with a little small deep dive of 3 games, and it didn't even compare. All they showed was Hellblade and 2 and Indiana Jones. So that you can just chalk that up, just put that to the side. The biggest announcements for Summer Games Fest were DLC. Like, at Summer Games Fest was basically like all the devs just went to it and were like, hey, we need some free advertisement for our DLC. So, we're putting in some more fighters on Street Fighter. Hey, Alan Wake 2, like, you guys like that game? We got some expansion for that.
Sonic Generations.
Yes. Sonic Generations. Hey, throw that on there. What else? So random indie game studio. Do you have $300,000 that you want to spend so I can tell people about your game? And then you can announce whatever you want. Here and there was like a couple of games, not new announcements, just like showing off, kind of like that Dragon Ball Z game. We've known that it's coming out for forever. Like, they've been talking about it for at least like a year and a half now. Then they gave it a release date, but like, we knew that game is nothing new. It was barely anything new. It was all just stuff we already know was coming, and then DLC for games that have already been out. So yeah, but you already knew it wasn't going to be all that crazy, because like, people were throwing out rumors like, yo, they're going to announce Borderlands 4. And then like, Jeff had to literally come out and say, hey, there's not going to be any major, huge announcement at Summer Games Fest. And the fact that you have to say that, and this is supposed to be the new E3, is hilarious. You're basically saying, hey, my version of E3 can't even compare to like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, where actual new games would get announced here. Come on, man. Like, Jeff, bro, just I hope you got some heat for the Game Board, because you might not get anybody to tune into the next Summer Games Fest if this is what you got going on.
And then all these copycat games of looking like Valorant and looking like Overwatch, which I'm sick and tired of seeing. So these games were probably developed years ago, and they're coming out now, and it's like, oh, wait, nobody plays Valorant anymore, but we spent millions of dollars on this. We have to release it now. Like, the popular one, which sadly is going to get a little bit of attention just because of the IP, is Marvel Rivals. It's literally fucking Overwatch. People were playing beta of that 2 weeks ago, and it's literally Overwatch. It's the same game, just skinned with Marvel characters. It's so awkward looking. And there's this other game, I forgot the name of it. It's literally Valorant. And then you've got this whole like first person shooter type follow the leader thing. Like everybody wants to be like COD, and unfortunately, nothing else will be like COD. COD is COD.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one hot spot. The Sony State of Play was Garbo, but I will say the Astrobot game looks amazing, and that's probably the only thing that's going to release this year that I think it's September that will probably do very well and just sell more systems at that point. So that game looks phenomenal.
You don't want to play Lego Horizon on PC or Switch?
I'll play it when it's on Game Pass for free.
Yeah, that's the one thing that they're like, it's not on Xbox. They're not putting that on there, but the PlayStation fans were mad that was coming on Switch because they were saying it should only be on PlayStation. I don't know why it matters, but it does. So they were upset, man. Some of the bigger PlayStation accounts on X were like, "Oh, I heard about what's coming on Game Fest. It's a 4 out of 10 at best," and then or not Game Fest, the showcase, Xbox Showcase. It's a 4 out of 10 at best. Then the showcase happened, and the dude, I don't even want to give him say his name, but he fucking deleted his post because he was just getting dragged like crazy. Like 4 out of 10, never. The showcase was incredible, and they tried to downplay it, but it's tough, man. They had some really good fucking hits, and from what I'm seeing on X, supposedly some people that work at Microsoft said that there were actually more games they could have showcased, but they wanted to save them for the August show. So there's more coming, and they're going to announce newer stuff in August as well. I forget, it was that Gamescom, like 21st to the 23rd, Gamescom. I think is what the dates are.
Yeah, so Gamescom's in Germany.
Yeah, they'll have more to show there. Handheld, I don't know. I think they'll do their own showcase again for the new console. I don't think it'll be at Gamescom, but we'll probably get more new titles showcased, probably more of these. Some gameplay, hopefully, for some of the stuff they didn't show too much of. And very exciting times. This was a great showcase. Was I wrong, guys? This is not one of the best Xbox showcases they've had.
No, disagree.
I would have to say it's top 5 for sure.
Nice.
Nah.
Top 5. Like, I don't see, especially with if you do like hindsight and you go back and be like, oh, this game didn't come out, this game didn't come out, this shit didn't come out for like 5 years. This shit got canceled. This game wasn't even good. Like, if you could use the hindsight and go back, then you're like, oh, damn. Like, some of those ones that we thought were like fire ended up, like, the games weren't even good or they never released versus like the potential of this. Like, we already know for a fact, like, pretty much, like, there's almost a 0 chance that like Doom is going to be bad. Or that Black Ops is going to be bad. Like, it might not be the best Call of Duty, but it won't be bad. We know it's going to sell. And then once you add in, like, Gears, the Indiana Jones game that already looks very good, like, if those games come out and they're just, boom, like, instant hits, like, this would be, like, one of the greatest shows. Now, I would say that probably a Sony fanboy would point out and say, but none of these games, I'm playing all of these games on my PlayStation 5, so who cares? Okay. So that would be the only negative that you could say is like, oh, if you go back to previous Xbox shows, all those games were exclusive. Like, you couldn't even get them for the most part on PC. Well, with these games, not only will you be able to play them on PC, but some of these, potentially a majority, you'll be able to play on PlayStation. So, but I mean, if you're looking from a gamer perspective, then you shouldn't give a fuck. Like, every gamer will be able to play.
I was hoping for a Last of Us 3 announcement, and we didn't see it yet. So hopefully by the end of the year, we get some Last of Us 3, or even a continuation of Drake with his kid. That'd be cool too.
And it's a W overall, Mason. What you were saying about PlayStation gamers, like, oh, I'm going to play this on PS5. It's like, please do. Do buy it for $70.
Yeah.
Because Microsoft doesn't give a shit. Phil Spencer doesn't give a shit. Like, they're begging for more games and then bragging about buying Microsoft games on their console. Like, that's how fucked up this all is. And for me, for Microsoft, it's a win. It's great.
Yeah.
And
for gamers, it's a win.
It is. It's a win for gamers, and it's also a win for Game Pass subscribers because Microsoft's going to use that money that PlayStation gamers are spending $70 on to buy more fucking Xbox Game Pass titles. It feeds itself.
We've also got Kingdom Hearts 4 that we're waiting for too. So that that info's coming soon, hopefully, or later, because it takes forever to make those games.
Yeah, they waited forever for Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, I was getting hired at Disney when some guy asked about Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, that's how far. And it still hadn't released, like, so for fucking years after. Yeah, no, we'll probably get some crumbs for 4, but I don't expect that game till 2030, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this has been fun, man. This was a great showcase. A lot of great games coming out, many of which I'll be playing this year. This fucking year. Scott still doesn't believe me. Finally. He still doesn't think I'm going to fucking get a console. And I'm going to fuck with him. I'm going to fuck with him next time I see him. I'm going to be like, that handheld's coming out next year. And maybe I should wait for that handheld. And he's going to be like, see? He's still not going to believe me, though, when I buy the Series X. He's going to want to see it at my house. But yeah, I'll be playing these games and talking with you guys about it. And I'm excited for it. Hopefully playing some of these games with you. But thank you guys again for coming on and helping with this Xbox showcase. If you have any social media presence or if you're on the Discord, please let the Brocat Core know. Starting off with you, Bobby.
You can always find me here in Discord. Check me out. Daniel will post all the links for that. I am on Twitter, but just really don't interact that much. But if you tag me, I'll respond. It's at QBANSLIM, at Cube and Slim. Always talk gaming, comics, all the things in geek culture, movies, comics, video games, all that fun stuff.
Especially
share
CTC
your comic books.
Yeah. And the Collector's Corner.
Yeah, Collector's Corner is popping. So join our Discord and show your stuff off.
And you can find me on the Discord at MacMurder. I don't really have social media anymore. Once X shit on itself, I pretty much left it. So I'm on the Discord, and you might see me on the Collector's Corner because I did start collecting vinyl. Now I'm not gonna have a huge collection, but I like listening to music on vinyl. So I do have a very small collection right now, less than 10 records, but I will be adding some soon because there's going to be a record convention at the Orlando Fairgrounds in a couple weeks. So I'll probably add to some of my collection very soon.
Awesome. As they mentioned, there will be a link to our Discord in the description of today's episode. For this episode, if you want to help out our friends over at FloridaGeekScene.com, they host the podcast on there as well, but they post up reviews, a lot of convention news and appearances, mainly based in Florida. So if you're a Florida Broquette, and I know Floridian Broquettes are one of the larger numbers of listeners based on stats in the U.S., you definitely want to check out FloridaGeekScene.com. But otherwise, you can, for a link on everywhere you can find us, head on over to thereasonsimbroke.com. I've been Daniel, joined by Bobby and by Macio, and Brocat Core, all will be well.